In 2015, you made $45,000 a year. You lived in a studio. You cooked most of your meals. At the end of the month, there were still a few $100s sitting in your checking account. You weren't rich, but you weren't worried. In 2025, you make $100,000. You live in a 2-bedroom apartment. You eat out 3 or 4 times a week. You drive a car with a $600 monthly payment. At the end of the month, you open your banking app and see $212. Your income doubled. Your balance got cut in half. This is not an income problem. This is what I call the ratio trap. Your income grows in a straight line. Your spending grows in a curve. And at some point, those 2 lines cross. When they cross, you earn 6 figures, but live like you earn 4. And here's what makes this particular trap so hard to spot: it doesn't activate because you're reckless. It activates because you're successful. To understand how the ratio trap works, it helps to stop thinking about $100,000 as a number you receive. Think about it as a river, a wide, strong river flowing toward you. The problem is, before that river reaches you, it passes through a series of dams. Each dam holds back a portion of the water, and by the time it arrives at your door, the place where you actually live your life, what's left is a stream. The first dam is taxes. Federal income tax, state income tax, Social Security, Medicare. In most states, $100,000 in gross income becomes roughly $72,000 to $75,000 in take-home pay. You haven't spent $1 yet. You haven't made a single choice yet. But somewhere between 25 and 28% of the river is already gone. The second dam is fixed obligations, rent or mortgage, health insurance, car payment, student loan minimums. These are the costs that leave your account automatically on the first of the month, whether you're awake or not. For most people earning $100,000 in a mid to large American city, these fixed costs eat 40 to 50% of what's left after taxes. The third dam is baseline survival. Gas or transit, groceries, utilities, phone bill. These aren't luxuries. They're the cost of physically existing in a city that pays $100,000 salaries, and they take another meaningful slice. After 3 dams, the $100,000 river has been reduced to roughly $1,500 to $2,000 a month in true discretionary income. Not the $8,333 per month that appears on the offer letter. Not even close. Somewhere between $1,500 and $2,000. That's the gap between the number you tell people at dinner and the number you actually live with. And that gap is where the ratio trap lives. But the dams alone don't explain why $100,000 feels poor. After all, $1,500 to $2,000 a month in discretionary income is not nothing. That's still $18,000 to $24,000 a year of free cash. So what happens to it? This is where the second layer of the mechanism kicks in. I think of it like a thermostat. When a thermostat detects that the room temperature has dropped, it turns on the heat. No one presses a button. No one makes a decision. The system corrects itself automatically. Spending works the same way. When income rises, the brain runs a background calculation. New income minus old expenses equals surplus. Surplus equals permission to spend. This calculation doesn't happen in one dramatic moment. It doesn't look like walking into a dealership and saying, "Give me the most expensive one." It happens across hundreds of small, invisible decisions. It's the $6 coffee instead of the $3 one. Not because it tastes twice as good, but because there's no longer a reason to say no. It's the $2,200 apartment instead of the $1,400 one. Not because you need the extra room, but because the new salary allows it. It's the $45,000 car instead of the $25,000 one. Not because you need it, but because your coworkers who earn the same drive something similar. Each individual decision is reasonable. No single purchase is irresponsible. Nobody sits down and says, "I'm going to spend all $100,000 this year." But the thermostat keeps adjusting. It keeps pushing spending up to match income. And the result is that whether someone makes $50,000 or $100,000 or $150,000, the amount left at the end of the month stays roughly the same. A few $100s, maybe less. This is what separates the ratio trap from simply overspending. Overspending is a behavior problem. You know you did something wrong, you see the credit card bill and feel it. The ratio trap is a system problem. Everything feels right. Every purchase feels justified. But the outcome is the same as if you'd earned half as much. There's a third layer to this that rarely gets discussed, and I find it the most interesting one. There's a cost that doesn't appear in any budget spreadsheet. I'd call it the membership fee, the cost of looking like you earn what you earn. When someone makes $40,000, nobody expects them to wear a particular watch or live in a particular neighborhood. There's no social script. But at $100,000, an invisible rulebook activates. The car has to be at a certain level. The restaurants have to be at a certain tier. The vacation has to be at a certain distance. You're not paying for the thing itself. You're paying for membership in the income class that matches your tax bracket. This system operates like an escalator. Each new income level automatically pulls you up to a new spending level. You don't step up. You get carried up. And each new level becomes the floor you can't step down from without feeling like you're falling behind. Downgrading the apartment feels like failure. Selling the car feels like regression. Ordering the cheaper option. When everyone else at the table earns what you earn, feels like announcing that something went wrong. The result is that $100,000 is not wealth. $100,000 is the entry ticket to a lifestyle that is precisely expensive enough to keep you at the starting line, just on a nicer track. 3 layers. The tax and fixed cost dam that reduces the river before you touch it. The thermostat that automatically adjusts spending upward to match whatever's left. And the escalator that socially locks each new spending level into place. None of these 3 layers require bad decisions. That's the mechanism. It runs on reasonable ones. 2 people. Same age. Same city. Same $100,000 salary. Same starting point. Person A does what the income suggests. They rent a nice apartment, $2,300 a month in a good neighborhood close to work, safe parking garage. They finance a late model SUV, $580 a month, reliable good safety ratings. They eat out about 4 times a week, averaging around $40 each time. Gym membership, $80. Streaming services, $45. Phone plan, $95. Clothes. Nothing extravagant, maybe $150 a month. A few weekend trips a year. A reasonable vacation. Nothing about Person A's life looks irresponsible. Their friends wouldn't raise an eyebrow. Their parents would probably say they're doing well. Every single line item in their budget makes sense on its own. At the end of each month, Person A has about $400 to $600 left, sometimes less. After 3 years of earning $100,000, which means over $300,000 in total gross income has passed through their hands. Person A's net worth is roughly $8,000 in a savings account and a car that's losing value every quarter. Person B earns the same $100,000. But the structure looks different. They rent an apartment for $1,400, a normal neighborhood, maybe 15 minutes farther from downtown. They drive a 2019 sedan that's fully paid off. Nothing special about it. They cook at home 5 days a week. Their apartment complex has a free gym. They use a prepaid phone plan for $35 a month. Person B's life doesn't look impressive. Nobody at the office would guess they earned 6 figures. There's no visible signal of the salary. At the end of each month, Person B has about $2,200 to $2,500 remaining. An automatic transfer moves $2,000 of it into an investment account. After 3 years, Person B's net worth sits somewhere around $78,000 to $85,000 depending on the market. Same income, same city, same 3 years. The gap between them is over $70,000. And the part that's worth sitting with Person A didn't do anything wrong. Not morally, not even logically at any individual decision point. That's exactly what makes this worth examining. Everything looked normal. The outcome didn't. Now stretch it to 10 years. Both get steady raises 3 to 4% a year, which is fairly standard. Person A's thermostat adjusts with each raise. A nicer apartment, a newer car, slightly better restaurants, a slightly longer vacation. The surplus at the end of each month stays about the same $400 to $600 because spending always catches up to income. The thermostat never lets the gap widen. Person B also increases spending, but slower than income. For every dollar of new income, roughly 30 cents goes to lifestyle, 70 cents goes to the investment account. Over 10 years, that account grows to somewhere in the range of $350,000 to $400,000. Person A, after 10 years of earning well over $1 million in total, has a net worth of around $25,000, most of it in a 401k that their employer matched. More than $1 million flowed through Person A's life. They kept about 2.5% of it. Then year 11 arrives. Both lose their jobs, their industry contracts. Layoffs hit across the board. Person B has $350,000 to $400,000 in accessible assets. With a low-cost structure, that money covers 8 to 10 years of expenses without any income at all. Or 3 to 4 years if they want to use the time to retrain switch industries or build something new. Losing the job is inconvenient. It is not a crisis. Person A has $25,000. With a high fixed cost structure, the apartment lease is still running. The car payment is still due. That money lasts about 2 to 3 months. Losing the job is an emergency. Person A takes the first offer that comes, regardless of fit, regardless of pay, regardless of whether it leads anywhere. There is no room to be selective. The runway is too short. Same salary, same starting point, same decade. But one person has options. The other has pressure. The difference isn't intelligence. It isn't discipline in any moral sense. It's the structure of cash flow that was set in year 1 and the thermostat that either held steady or kept adjusting upward quietly for 10 years straight. Most people who feel broke at $100,000 arrive at the same conclusion: I need to make more money, a higher salary, a better job, a side project, more hours. And here's the thing, they often succeed. They do get the raise. They do land the better paying role. The number on the paycheck goes up. But the feeling doesn't change. 6 months into the new salary, the banking app still shows a few $100s at the end of the month. The math improved. The experience didn't. And I think this is where the blind spot is. The problem was never income. The problem is absorption rate, the speed at which a lifestyle consumes each new dollar before it has a chance to accumulate. If someone's absorption rate is 95%, meaning for every new dollar earned 95 cents becomes a new expense, then the jump from $100,000 to $150,000 doesn't create breathing room. It creates a more expensive version of the same tightness. The gap between income and spending stays at $400 to $600 a month, no matter how large the numbers on either side of that gap become. This might explain something that seems contradictory on the surface. There are people earning $60,000 who feel financially stable, and there are people earning $200,000 who feel like they're drowning. Not because $60,000 is enough and $200,000 isn't, but because the person at $60,000 has an absorption rate of 70%, they keep 30 cents of every dollar. The person at $200,000 has an absorption rate of 97%, they keep 3 cents. In absolute terms, the person at $60,000 retains more usable money each month than the person earning more than 3 times as much. Which raises a question about what the word rich actually means. If it means the number on a paycheck, then $200,000 is obviously richer than $60,000. But if it means the distance between what comes in and what goes out the gap that creates options, then the picture reverses. The person with the wider gap has more ability to absorb a shock, more ability to say no to a bad opportunity, more ability to sleep without running numbers in their head at 2 a.m. Not richer on a tax return. Richer in the room to make decisions that aren't driven by the next billing cycle. $100,000 a year is not a small number, but $100,000 flowing through a structure with a 95% absorption rate produces the same lived experience as $35,000 enough to get by not enough to choose. The ratio trap doesn't penalize people who are careless. It penalizes people who succeed without changing the structure underneath. And the cost isn't poverty. The cost is a decade of earning over $1 million and having almost nothing to show for it, then wondering why. This isn't advice, it's just observation. No advice, just observation. But there's a question this video didn't touch. If the ratio trap keeps you at the starting line, regardless of income, what actually creates the jump? Not a higher salary, not cutting expenses. Something else, a mechanism that most people who earn a paycheck are never taught to see. Next video, we'll look at that. Thanks for watching. I'm James. See you in the next one.